Good evening. So I was talking about that long video that I prepared, or just the script that I prepared about kind of reflecting on the week and all the people that I met. It's been a good day. Did some cleanup, did some cooking. Gonna have some friends over tomorrow, and now to go to our reflections and summaries of Bitcoiners. Because if you're going to run a Bitcoin business and build a startup, you need to understand your customer first, which is, well, Bitcoiners. And honestly, the more I speak to people in a week, the more I have to say, actually. And that's what's really happened this week. And I really got a chance, I think, to speak to people representing each kind of. I mean, I should have renamed the topic to 50 Shades of Bitcoiners or something, but there's not 50 shades, definitely less. But the reality is, just like any other group, it's not a homogenous group. Many different people, many different needs. And similarly, any lending or borrowing or liquidity needs against Bitcoin for business or other needs is extremely varied. And I think for once I can comfortably say that I have a decent grasp on it. And it's a moving target. So specifically, let's start with just one thing with banks, though. Banks won't lend against Bitcoin without margin calls and liquidations at play. That's, I think, a given fact. I think people are waiting for banks to participate. Banks are going to bring the lowest cost of capital. That's for sure. No one can compete with banks once they participate. And they're going to, got some background noise. Anyway, they're not in the business of having or holding assets on their balance sheet, and they want nothing to do with it. Hence the liquidations and margin calls if Bitcoin price fluctuates dramatically, right? And I think while it will, and I've said this before, while it will, its volatility will be reduced, it will continue to be extremely volatile. Um, Now, the second part to the bank narrative is that they don't need or want or care, I think, for self custody Bitcoin. In fact, people are very comfortable with ETFs and Bitcoin ETFs today, I think. And it's actually a great way to grow your TFSA contribution room if you. If you're in Canada, I'm pretty sure you could do something like that with Roth IRAs in the US as well, really growing your tax free or your local tax shelter, right? That's what those are. And you can, I'm not sure where, but I believe if you have an advanced trading account with like Questrade and stuff, you can already take a margin against your securities, against your stocks and bonds and stuff. Not sure if ETFs on Bitcoin are specifically available for that, but I imagine that's like at the end of the day, banks are going to be using systems and processes that they're already familiar with, and they already work with brokerages and margin loans and stuff. And since there are a ton of Bitcoin ETFs, we are just going to see a lot of borrowing against the actual ETFs holding the Bitcoin rather than the Bitcoin themselves. I did hear about people taking short positions actually recently between MSTR and Bitcoin. So they're shorting MSTR, buying Bitcoin, and expecting that when the crash comes, MSTR is going to crash a lot more than Bitcoin will, and they can make something in between while still staying Bitcoin, while still having more Bitcoin and getting discount Bitcoin at that, which is kind of, I think, going to be the main theme, as I mentioned last time. Discount Bitcoin, discount Bitcoin, discount Bitcoin. Everyone's looking for great ways to acquire more Bitcoin before it's all gone. Um, and in order for, I think, banks to really participate in a way that, you know, they want to compete with people who insist on self custody Bitcoin, that will take like a price of 500,000 plus worth of Bitcoin and so many dollars and really good like history and I think even like stability with the price for it to actually take up. So with Bitcoin Lightning startups, are banks going to completely take that over? No. But also, if they're not going to take it over, is the market really that big and available for them? If Bitcoiners truly care about self custody, then yes, 10% rates are kind of barely going to cut it. They're going to have to come lower. Maybe there is an opportunity, but I'm I'm becoming less of a believer in it in some ways. I think it's going to continue to have a niche, and big big like a big niche. It's going to be a big niche. Um, but really, Bitcoiners are looking for something more specific to them that aligns with their values, that doesn't keep them being afraid of liquidation for, and so that they can use it more on longer term. And this is where I think it's important to categorize Bitcoiners, because many who do currently use lending and borrowing are using it for trading purposes, and they're completely fine with margin calls and liquidations. The average person, I really truly believe, is not, from my conversations. I'm already at like 6 minutes on this, so I might have to break this up into a part two. But you know what? I'll leave it as a cliffhanger. I will break this up into a part two, and I will continue on this tomorrow. I think I can definitely finish it off tomorrow morning. I'll continue tomorrow morning. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.